Views and opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
We are live. It is Tuesday. It is Milwaukee Tuesday, Warm Tuesday via Voice Radio. Taco Tuesday, yes, it's heating up. We need y'all to put y'all seatbelts on today. I'm over here looking. Not only am I the community outreach organizer, I am a safety instructor in my own mind. So I believe that y'all need to take care of yourselves and put y'all seatbelts on. If you over here 50, 60, 70 and up and ain't riding around with no seatbelt on, we need to discuss that. Especially, I talk to my people all the time that think that they're invincible. So you have the impact of a car accident, you will not understand. So please put your seatbelts on today. Be safe, be smart. It's warm outside. Like now it's feeling like 83. We got a chance of rain. You got 77 on yours? Man, they don't know what they talking about. My phone say feels like 83, 80 degrees outside right now.
It feels like
proof.
it too.
It's the proof right here, man. Look. Who is this? This is the Weather Channel. Who's more accurate, WISN or the Weather Channel?
I think we can walk outside and it feels like 80.
It feels like 80, don't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Well, that was my little opening, y'all. We look like we got rain coming up later on. About 69% of the area will be hit with rain by around 4 p.m. So make sure you bring your umbrellas, cover up those Jerry curls.
It's gonna get cool again.
Yeah.
It dropped to the 60s or something.
Yeah, we're gonna be back down to reality.
That's cool. I'll take a little bit before it get hot, and all those fails. I'll just escape and go to somebody's city and go.
Nope, I'm ready for beach.
Yeah,
I'm ready for the beach.
Yeah, you ready to get some more sunburn, Joe? Look like you sunburned in 40-degree weather.
I did.
Yeah, so that
I did go camping.
So make sure that you get SPF 100 or whatever you need. Whatever you need to make sure. But good morning to everybody. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices, 860 WNOV, 106.5 FM. Again, Bryan Sanders, Community Outreach Organizer here at Wisconsin Voices.
Yeah, Joe Dray, Policy Director for Wisconsin Voices. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Another beautiful day out there in Milwaukee, and get out and enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. So today, I guess we'll be hitting just some topics that you got, some things that's going on. Looks like you got some information for us, and then of course I'll just in between there hit folks with a couple updates, what's going on with some of our partners, some events they got coming up, and then just open up the lines if there's any conversation that's worth opening up the lines for. We'll definitely have that 414-444-5253. Joe, what do you got for us today?
Well, we had a great guest yesterday, Bryan, state representative Prado. She was fantastic. We got a lot of insight, but we skipped over some of the legislative updates that I like to go through weekly and just kind of give folks an update of what's going on, not only in Madison but in Washington as well. So today, already, as a matter of fact, going on right now, there's an Assembly Committee on Campaigns and Elections. One of the bills they'll be looking at is Assembly Bill 207, which is relating to information to voters concerning proposed constitutional amendments and other statewide referenda. So the bill requires that each proposal for a constitutional amendment or other statewide referendum that passes both houses of the legislature contain a complete state referendum disclosure notice that includes all the following. So when there's referendums or statewide referendums, these are the things that they have to have if this bill were to pass. The date of the referendum, the entire text of the ballot question and proposed constitutional amendment, a plain language summary of the current law, an explanation in plain language of the effect of the proposed constitutional amendment or other statewide referendum, and an explanation in plain language of the effect of a yes vote or the effect of a no vote. Under the bill, the content under items 3 and 5 combined, get this, Brian, may not exceed 1 page of paper not less than 8.5 inches by 11 inches and printed in 12-point font. I found that one I found that one very interesting.
So is this a bill or a college? Is this a college paper?
So yeah, right. So yeah, so we've seen those referendums on our ballots before, and they can be lengthy or whatever, but apparently it has to be able to fit.
Excuse me, is this a referendum or a college paper?
right.
Yeah,
right.
So it has to be able to fit in. Like, it can't start lingering off to the next page. It has to complete the bill.
Correct.
Have to complete the idea of the referendum before it goes to the next page.
I think the idea of that is making sure that there's not all this ambiguous language that goes into it, but yet there are some exceptions in there. They want the language of the bill, and they want the summary of the bill, but they all has to fit inside one space, so that you're not, like you said, running all the way over onto the front and back page of a ballot just to explain what you're voting for.
Okay.
I think they're trying to simplify it there, but that's being debated right now.
I'm sorry, I might have missed this. Who introduced this?
I'm not sure exactly who introduced this. I didn't pull that up.
All right.
But it is before the Committee on Campaigns and Elections today. It will be in front of that committee.
This is statewide, correct?
This is statewide. This is the state of Wisconsin. So this is in Madison. Yes.
Okay.
Also today, starting at 1:00, just after our show, the Assembly Committee on Criminal Justice and Public Safety will be meeting. Tomorrow, the Senate Committee on Health will be meeting. One of the bills they're going to be focused on is the registration of out-of-state healthcare providers to provide telehealth services. So the way that the bill allows an individual who possesses credentials as a healthcare provider in another state to provide healthcare services via telehealth in Wisconsin within the scope of their practice. So as of right now, you cannot seek medical. You can't go do telehealth doctors. Say if I had one back in Ohio, I couldn't have that telehealth doctor here in Wisconsin. But this bill would start to allow that. Another bill that's up is Senate Bill 228, which is prohibiting school boards and independent charter schools from providing food containing certain ingredients in free or reduced priced meals. I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce some of the things that are in being
I've seen a lot of those. I think that one, that brominated vegetable oil, I've seen that, and that potassium bromide.
Yeah,
I've definitely bromide.
And the red dyes. I've heard a lot about the red dye 3 is another one. I've heard a lot about the red dyes, and that
the yellow. Yep, the yellow.
Those dyes.
Yellow. Is it red dye? I know it's yellow. Is yellow 5 or?
I thought there was one called red 20 or red.
Yeah, it's like red 20. Then it's like
that.
Yellow 5 or something.
This
like
is red 3.
Okay.
Maybe we need to get a food
official breakdown of each one,
or like somebody who really is an expert on this stuff, because I don't even know where
we can do that.
Somebody that could explain what some of these things in our food actually is.
Yeah, we'll set that up.
We'll have to set that up.
Yeah, we'll set that up.
But I thought that one was interesting. They're going to try to limit some of the things that are going into foods. And the other thing through the state is that we announced the Republican one. So I'm going to announce the Democratic state convention is this weekend in the Wisconsin Dells. These things can be seen on wisi.org. You can go on and watch live committee hearings. You can go back and watch the taped committee hearings or certain events that have to do with Wisconsin politics, all free of charge. It's a nonprofit service. So this week in national, you always hear me grunt a little bit when I start to get into the national politics a little bit. Really not a whole lot that was on the actual docket, but with some things that we need to keep an eye on are the tax reforms and budget negotiations. Right now, House Republicans are working to reconcile internal disagreements to advance the administration's legislative agenda, particularly focused on extending the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act, which is set to expire at the end of the year. The plan is estimated to add $4.6 trillion to the national debt over a decade, not including additional proposed expenditures on immigration enforcement, military, and energy initiatives, potentially pushing the total to $5.8 trillion. We've been, if you pay any attention to the news, you can hear the back and forth debate about this, this budget bill and the tax cuts. One other thing is some immigration legislation. The Senate is expected to consider the Lake and Riley Act, a high-profile immigration bill that is set to be the Senate's real first order of business. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has indicated plans to bring up the court countermeasure or Counteraction Act for a vote soon after the Senate finishes consideration of the Lake and Riley Act. So the legislation would impose sanctions on the International Criminal Court for issuing arrest warrants against Israeli leader over the war in Gaza as well. So just some things to keep an eye on. C-SPAN, I would recommend if you're looking for federal committee hearings or Senate floor or House floor. Definitely check out C-SPAN. They usually have some good stuff there as well. So one thing that I couldn't believe, and we can talk about it a little bit more in the next segment too, is that we are getting very, very close to an election, and closer than I thought we were. We're 8 months away from early voting starting for the spring primary of 2026 already. Yeah. Cannot believe it. So I wanted to just give a quick update on some of the things that, some of the dates that maybe you need to keep in mind out there that are coming around. So the spring primary election is February 17th, 2026. That's a nonpartisan primary to narrow down candidates for the spring election, which the spring election will be on April 7th. And that includes a very important race, which includes the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat and various other local and judicial offices. And we have a partisan primary election August 11th, 2026 for nominating candidates for the general election, which will be held November 3rd. Some of those key races will be the race for governor, the attorney general election, all 99 seats in the Wisconsin State Assembly, all 8 U.S. House seats in Wisconsin, and 1 seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Some statewide offices. Just to go over, the governor, Democratic incumbent Tony Evers, is eligible for re-election but has not yet announced his candidacy. Incumbent Josh Call for the attorney general is eligible for re-election but has not yet announced a candidacy. Secretary of State incumbent Sarah Godlewski is eligible. Godlewski is eligible for re-election but has not yet announced her candidacy. And John Lieber for treasurer is eligible for re-election but has not announced his candidacy. As far as the judiciary goes, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, Justice Rebecca Bradley is running for re-election, and Judge Chris Taylor has announced her candidacy, making this a potentially very competitive race. The Court of Appeals, at least 3 seats will be on the ballot, with incumbents Joe Donald, Lisa Neubauer, and Rachel Graham up for re-election. And there are already 3 ballot measures that have been certified for the November 3rd, 2026 election, which is a voter photo identification amendment, would amend the Wisconsin Constitution to require photo identification to vote. Also, a measure to prohibit discrimination by a government entity amendment would prohibit any government entity from discriminating based on race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in public employment, public education, public contracting, and public administration. And another measure to prohibit the closing of places of worship during states of emergency. Would prohibit any political subdivision from closing or for prohibiting gatherings at a place of worship in response to a state of emergency. So again, early voting for the spring primary is 8 months from today. That would be February 3rd, 2026. In Wisconsin, early in-person absentee voting begins no earlier than 14 days before the election day and ends the Sunday before the election day. And this means early voting lasts for 13 days. Municipalities do have some discretion when it comes to that, to the specific dates, times, and locations. For the 2026 spring primary, like I said, which is scheduled for February 17th, early voting would begin on February 3rd and end on February 15th. These dates are just based on statutory requirements and may vary significantly depending on local discretion. For the 2026 spring election scheduled for April 7th, 2026, early voting would begin March 24th, 2026 and end April 5th. Again, these dates are based on statutory requirements and may vary depending on locations. So that leaves us 288 days until the next time voters can hit the ballots and start casting their votes for the next set of officials and the next referendums that are coming up. So some things that we just need to keep an eye on. I know that it seems like it's a long way off, but it really isn't. It'll be up and on us pretty quick and creeping up on us. So we want to stay up to date. And as candidates announce their intention to run for a certain office, we're going to make sure that we keep those updated and let folks know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and also want to make sure that we can get in the loop and make sure that we are, let our organizations get out here and do their part, nonpartisan part, or getting out the vote to our local citizens, making sure that are aware of what's going on. We getting out the information about those elections that matter to the citizens of Milwaukee and surrounding areas the most. So yeah, whatever we can do, Joe, I appreciate you for sharing this with the city.
Yeah, man. We continue to say it. We continue to say, get out and vote, get out and register, stay informed, hold your elected officials accountable. These are the things that we repeat over and over and over again. And, part of our job is making sure that folks know what's going on and when things are going on. So now's the time, a great time to register to vote. There's never been a better time than now to go register to vote, because you can do it online without any problems. You can do it at your local clerk's office. Several different options in the state of Wisconsin to register to vote. Be a part of the process. It's an important process, and for everybody that's out there that's saying, well, I don't like the state of the way things are going. Well, this is your opportunity to help change that. And we're less than a year away from actual votes being cast, to enact the change that we hear so much about. It kind of shocks me that we're almost halfway through 2025 already.
Yeah. Fine, man. I just had this conversation.
Yeah.
I said only like 1 month, 2 months probably drug, and I think it was January and April for me. After that, everything in between that or a little bit after that has been a blur, as far as time is just moving. So
it is.
Said, I know even our conversation we had yesterday, we gotta just keep letting people know about these elections, let them know what's going on. So, once it pops up, you won't feel like you weren't aware that, this election was going on locally or something like that. So Wisconsin Voices definitely keep you in the loop.
Yeah, for sure. Candidates are all, every day going to be announcing their intention to run. We want to make sure that, one, we try to get some of those on here on the show, and we can really ask them the hard questions, right, and find out, what they're all about and what their, issues matter to them, and maybe take some callers. But, just staying informed and knowing, finding those candidates that reflect the ideals and values that mean the most to you. Yeah, sure. That's what it's all about. We know we don't support any candidate one way or the other. we support the issues,
Mhm.
and that's that's what it's all about. It's about the issues that matter to the people that we serve. So
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We'll go ahead, slide into this break real quick. We'll be back with more community and political topics here in the state and across the country. You'll be Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices, WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll be back.
AURN News.
Since returning to the White House, President Trump has made rolling back diversity a top priority, cutting back Black history programs, canceling MLK Day celebrations, and only welcoming white South African, quote, refugees. His Justice Department is now investigating Chicago's Black mayor after he spoke proudly about hiring Black staff. And yet, it was voters of color, especially Black and Latino men, who helped fuel Trump's comeback win. During his inauguration speech on MLK Day, Trump thanked Black and Hispanic communities for what he called a, quote, tremendous outpouring of love and trust. And exit polls show he made gains among Black men and won a majority of Latino male voters. So here's the question. Do some Black voters regret backing Donald Trump? There's no clear polling yet, but it's a question many may be asking as Trump's policies appear to reward the rich while sidelining racial equity. For AURA News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, increasing cloud cover with a high in the mid-80s. Winds out of the south increased around 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 35. For tonight, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy, a low near 57. By Wednesday, a chance for rain showers early on, cloudy, high of 62 degrees. Thursday, partial sunshine, high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Remembering what we stand for. At Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcast to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Explore our events calendar, like and subscribe to us on social media. Listen to recent podcasts and radio, and subscribe to our email and newsletter. Amplify your voice and be a voice today.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Wisconsin Voices' 3 pillars are protecting democracy. Your vote is your voice. Wisconsin Voices works to protect democracy in Wisconsin by fighting voter suppression, promoting voting rights, and ensuring fair elections for all. Teaching advocacy. Teaching advocacy empowers and educates advocates in Wisconsin by offering training, resources, and support to enhance their skills, fostering a more informed and effective advocacy community for social and economic change. Building community. Wisconsin Voices builds strong communities for a healthy democracy by collaborating with diverse partners, creating networks for positive change, and fostering a sense of belonging and common purpose. Learn more about Wisconsin Voices by going to wisconsinvoices.org. Learn more about what our partners are doing by visiting the events calendar. Listen to recent episodes by going to our podcast and radio. Get involved today.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
860 AM, 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
Welcome back. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Bryan had to step out for a second. We're me and Jermaine are kind of chuckling. He had to move his car real quick. But I want to get back into it real quick. I know Bryan's got some updates from the community side of things, and I don't want to take too much of that time. But I ran into an interesting article in Psychology Today, studies on voter behavior. And we were just talking about this during the break, why people either don't show up to vote, or maybe they vote against their own interests. There is a a study done. It encompassed several different reasons. One of them that they identified was political disinterest. So many individuals report a lack of interest in politics or dissatisfaction with an available candidate. For instance, in 2016, the U.S. presidential election, a significant number of registered voters cited disliking the candidates or the campaign issues as reasons why they abstained. Another one is time constraints and scheduling conflicts. A lot of people that were surveyed said that they had busy schedules, including work, education, caregiving responsibilities that often conflicted with voter opportunities, and we've heard that before. Thank goodness we have early voting in Wisconsin that helps alleviate some of those scheduling conflicts. Legal and logistical barriers were some of the reasons why folks didn't turn out to vote. Certain groups face legal restrictions that prevent them from voting. For example, individuals with felony convictions may be disenfranchised, and non-citizens, including green card holders and refugees, are ineligible to vote. Additionally, sometimes obtaining the required identification can be burdensome with the documentation requirements and the cost. Sometimes also it's a lack of political education, a lack of understanding of the political process and the candidates that can can deter voting. So that's what we try to do at Wisconsin Voices is we try to make sure that you understand the process and how to register to vote, where to go to vote, how to keep track of your candidates. These are the things that we want folks to be voter literate. We don't want, we want folks to not lack that political know-how and knowledge. So studies have also showed, the study also showed that a significant portion of youth felt like they lacked sufficient knowledge to vote, leading to low participation rates. Another one was voter fatigue. Frequent elections and complex ballots can lead to voter fatigue, where individuals feel overwhelmed by the number of decisions they are required to make. This fatigue can diminish motivation to participate in the electoral process. So just some different things that this study showed that why people decided either they wasn't going to show up, or maybe they voted for a candidate that was not in their best interest. Just some different ideas. And I think, it kind of reflects what we heard on the ground when we were doing voter registration last year is, why does it matter? My vote doesn't count. We heard a lot of those things. I don't have time to vote. Bryan, you probably heard a lot more than I heard as to the reasons why people didn't feel it was necessary. But
a lot of excuses being thrown out. And like I was saying before we went to break, not with all that extra stuff, and it was a lot going on with the election. It was just for our community. We need to, that's why I was stressing, and why I do stress to our vets, not our literal vets, but our older people. If you got those 30, 40-year-olds that listen to you here in this city, they need that conversation more about how important it is to vote. Don't feel like you just barking up or just talking to a brick wall or barking up a tree or whatever. I don't know, whatever term you use, whatever. Just continuously use your wisdom, the leadership that you have in your family, to stress to these younger adults that it's important to vote. Mm-hmm. A lot of y'all are taking custody. I got custody of these young kids and had custody just like how my grandparents had custody of me, etc. They instilled, my aunt, my granny, everybody, they instilled that get out the vote, or at least go, let me show you what you're supposed to do. And to me, all the other stuff and conspiracy stuff that go behind it is, to me, it's about honoring the ones before you who didn't have the opportunity, especially in Black community. That was something that they didn't even want to give it to us. If they could take it away from us, they would. But we got the opportunity to vote, and I feel like it's a slap into our ancestors' faces if we're not going out here and using that one piece of power that we do have. Like I always say, and like I use this all the time. This is one of my little key slogans or little key phrases I've been using, or whatever you want to call it. We go against the grain in so many other spaces, except the one that could be beneficial for us. Mm-hmm. we can go out, smoke weed in certain places, eat food. You'll take some food from one restaurant, go sit in somebody else's bar you're not supposed to. You go throw a lot of y'all brothers, nieces, nephews is throwing trash all across the city. But you know what? They going against the grain in all them other spaces, doing drugs, soliciting whatever to whoever, wherever they at. But they won't exercise that one thing, and that one thing that they don't want you to exercise is the power to go vote. And it's ridiculous. You will go against the grain everywhere else, but you don't want to go against the grain and go to the polls or go to the early ballots and drop off your votes or even pay attention to it.
So B and Joe, man, let me ask y'all this.
Yep.
What's the reason why people do that? Is it learned behavior, or is it just that they think that it don't affect them?
Yeah, it don't affect it. That's the biggest thing. They will from in our community.
Right.
What we hear is that it don't affect us. They're gonna do what they gonna do anyway. What's another one?
Our vote don't count.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't count.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, you come from a smaller
Yeah.
community, and
Yeah.
it's not as well. It's not as affluent as some of these white spaces in some of these places. A lot of these places across the country. Do you see that within like the lower, I don't know, I ain't gonna say they're lower class
lower economic
socioeconomic, brackets for the white folks in the city that you from? Did you see that type of mindset as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of mindset that, it doesn't matter who I voted for in the past. I voted for both parties and I'm still in this situation.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever changed for me. I'm still living in poverty. I'm still, having to go out and to barely put food on the table. I have to sacrifice so that my kids can have, and you kind of get on that hamster wheel of I'm just tired of it. And what good does it do? And we heard the same things back in the rural communities as well.
So do you think that the Republicans and the Democrats has pretty much been selling us the American dream that's not possible?
I think our system, it's the system that was set up.
Okay.
That capitalistic oligarch of greed.
Yeah.
The system needs to change.
Yeah.
So do you think it will ever change?
Do I think it ever will? I'm an optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm the glass is half full kind of guy
Yeah.
all the time. So I'd love to say yes, it is.
Yeah. I would say I would love to see like a swooping change, but like somebody told me, or somebody said a while ago, you have to see a lot of the ones at the top die out first, but they're teaching the ones that's right underneath them the same thing. So and just how I used to be thinking in our community, like and we talk on the political space, a lot of that same bigotry, racism stuff is taught and passed down in politics. It's the same thing. I see no difference in our black community. And I was like, man, no, we ain't gonna have the same group of young 20-year-olds doing the same bull crap, not taking care of their kids and growing crazy. In my mind, as a 20-something-year-old, when I was thinking of the young bucks that was coming up underneath me, I was like, they're gonna be a little different, or at least my group.
Yeah.
Same stuff happened. Ain't nothing changed. The same learned behavior was passed down.
Yeah.
Oh, you can make the kid don't take care of it, or whatever the case may be, or you could go trap and you didn't go get in trouble. All the little criminal behaviors that was seen and all that same criminal behaviors in the political spaces, and then they start gearing them up and polishing them up for their run.
Long run,
So just best believe it's a 15, 16-year-old being polished up to run somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, have we crushed independent thinking where we encourage people to think on their own and not have to always look at, it's great to look up to the older people and to your leaders that are currently leaders and learn from them.
Right.
But do we have to take every single lesson and take it to heart? Is there, I guess I'm asking, is there a way to break that cycle so that those bad habits and those bad traits aren't being passed down to the next generation?
What do you callers think? 414-444-5253. Do you see a way, or how do you see the trend of the political scene? Do you see it, like Joe said, can we see more independent thinkers? Are we gonna, have each of these, kind of like the groups that have been pushing these parties into these spaces? Not gonna say no names, but we know who they are. Are we gonna see more independent thinking in the future? Are we gonna keep seeing this cult clan type?
I was just about
movement?
to ask you, do you think that because we as the people, we've seen both sides. We've seen the Republican side, we've seen the Democrat side. And just like you said, Joe, there's people that's feeling like there's nothing that has changed. Do you ever think it's going to be a point when that the people will rise and start their own party?
I guess I shouldn't say what I think, but
Right.
you know,
Right. What do the people think?
we're one of the few democracies throughout the world that only has two parties. If you look at a lot of the democracies that are republics across the world, many of them have a dozen parties.
Options, yeah.
They have 8 or 9 or 10
Yeah.
or 12 parties.
Yeah.
And it's easier for those folks, I think, to recognize and identify a party that more identifies with them.
Yeah.
And to say, okay, out of these 12, instead of which side of this coin?
Yeah, there was either or.
There's only either or.
Yeah.
And you do have some third-party candidates that do run, but you know, they don't have the money in the backing.
Yeah, it's always that, right?
That's
the money. Yeah,
it's a good,
they don't get the exposure.
Good luck running this unless you have a huge name
Yeah.
and somebody really backing you financially. Like, it's really hard to win as a third-party candidate.
Oh yeah, we seen it with the ones that people liked that were up. You know, the last 4 or 5 elections that we liked, but we knew realistically we weren't getting anywhere because they didn't have the money. It looks like we got a caller. Caller, you on the air, be a voice radio.
This is
Turn your radio down, please.
This is the Reverend Dr. Andrew Ward. I want to make a couple of observations regarding the topic at hand. The lower income people are not, too many of them are incarcerated and can't vote. Then you have gerrymandering, and then you have Citizens United. So money rules it all. You can't do anything politically without money. And so that puts the wrong people at a serious handicap. And y'all have a good one.
Appreciate that. Thank you for calling in.
And he makes a good point. You know, if somebody, you know, is on the lower end of the socioeconomic, you know, poll here, how do you run for office? How do you even think about doing that? How do you think about, you know, how do you think about enacting real change when you're worried about putting food on your table or paying your light bill? You know, I get what he's saying there, you know, and so many people have been disenfranchised, you know, based on their inability to vote or participate in the process. So there's some real problems out there. There's some real problems with the system, and you know, these are the issues that face a lot of our elected officials today that they need to figure out solutions for.
Yeah, I agree. Big time. It's good talk. Appreciate that. Hey, Jermaine, thank you for opening up for that. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, you know, hearing it from different angles, just outside of us, is important. I mean, we love to hear y'all call in. I mean, it's important just to get everybody involved in these type of conversations. You know, just you know, understanding. You know, every day this is changing. We're getting information that is surprising to us all the time, just like y'all. And we feel like it's an information overload, but we just want to make sure that, you know, we're making it as clear as possible. And, you know, again, you know, Joe bringing the policy information and everything in between when it relates to civic engagement on both ends. So, yeah. All right. What you feeling, man? What y'all feeling? What y'all feeling?
Wild Card Tuesday.
Wild Card Tuesday.
Wild Card Tuesday.
I like the Wild Card Tuesday.
That's dope.
Yeah,
I like the Wild Card Tuesday. Well, you know, on another lighter note, I guess we really haven't talked about it too much, but I see Elon Musk is pulling out of the Doge.
Yeah, well, I believe that when, don't quote me on this one, Brian, because I wasn't prepared. But there's only
we got this, Joe.
When you're elected as a special envoy or a special counsel to the president like that, the way that he was, you are limited by the number of days that you can serve in that capacity. And I believe his ran out
130 days to be exact.
130. I thought it was right around there. I didn't want to throw a number out there and be wrong. But yeah, 130 days that they can serve before it's to prevent presidents from circumventing the confirmation process. Is the reason that rule's in there. So he's departing now. I don't know. I haven't paid attention on whether the work will continue in his absence.
Yeah, so this is what we got so far. What he did at Doge, I guess they got a report. So you want to read a little bit of this report?
Sure.
Are you in the mood for a little report, guys?
Absolutely.
Right. Between January and May of 2025, Musk and Doge implemented significant cuts across the federal government, including laying off or buying 250,000 workers, buying out 250,000 workers, and slashing funding for agencies like EPA, NOAA, as we all know. Doge claims to have achieved $175 billion in savings through measures like asset sales, contract cancellations, and grant terminations. However, critics suggest the accuracy of these figures, and some reports suggest that actual savings may be lower and that the cuts could potentially lead to increased costs for taxpayers.
Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, Brian, with the representative. Not everything that's in government is there to make money. Not every program in government needs to be profitable. Yes, you can streamline things. Yeah, you can make things more efficient. But when you go through and you cut certain programs, and I used the example yesterday, was when I was on city council. Every year I would hear how much money the municipal pool in our town was losing. And it would always be a complaint. Well, the pool lost this much this year or last year, and it's losing this much this year. But the pool was never there to make money. They were always talking about raising the fee to get in, and we just want to break even on it. It wasn't the purpose of the pool. The purpose of the pool was so that the residents of that city had somewhere to go enjoy during the summer months. So not everything that's in government is meant to make money or to have a black numbers on the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's some things are there
just for services and
to make people's lives easier.
Exactly. For community, for services. You look at a lot of the foreign countries, they got all types of ways that they make life easier, from resting little spots that the governments pay for across the little subway stations to little snacks and food and different services that you get, and things that I'm not even thinking about, that I'm sure that they pay out millions and billions of dollars just to make sure that the citizens of Japan or the citizens of whoever that are getting having a peace of mind or feeling like they're being taken care of. And that's what we should feel like, with our government and with our local government and with our city government. We want to feel like we're being taken care of. We want to have the amenities like that, like a nice pool. I remember the pools were a struggle, and still are a struggle here in Milwaukee in a sense. They're talking about the ones that are open now, but I know Jermaine can remember a time where it was pools all over, and then it went to a period for a few years where it was struggling. They closed the Neem pool and put a little splash pad. They closed Lincoln was gone. Then they opened up Lincoln again, and wherever other pools that I haven't been to or I can't think of, but those little amenities help a city feel more like a city, or a town feel more like a town, and you can connect, and those are networking opportunities, and there's a places to congregate and see folks you ain't seen in a long time.
Just
and that's
to raise
all
the quality of life.
Yes, thank you.
Raise your quality of life.
That's all important.
Yeah, because I do remember the time that, especially around this time, for the kids that was out of school, they was playing in the pool. It was a lot of pools and water parks that was open. Unfortunately, things happen.
Yeah.
And it's not everybody.
And lifeguards can't find lifeguards.
Yeah, money happens.
Yeah. Money happens
with pools.
And I really think that that it was done purposely. Like the after school programs and all that other stuff that was for the kids, for the summer camps and the summer programs that they take away. That was a period of time that you did see a lot of young people engaging with each other at the pools and having fun and just being friendly. It was just it was an excellent thing to see, but you really don't see that type of stuff anymore.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but
it usually just comes down to the bottom line that hey, we have this many pools that are open and we're losing this much money, and that's the way it's looked at. And I guess it's looking at it through a different lens, and not looking at it through the lens as, okay, we have these pools or we have these parks or we have whatever these amenities in the neighborhood as financial liabilities, but as assets to the community. we have Milwaukee. One thing when Milwaukee does, we have some nice parks here. They do a pretty decent job on the park system, and you usually don't have to walk too far to find one. That's kind of a nice thing. But we'd love to see. I think everybody would love to see more investment in parks and pools and things for our youth to do during the summer months that keeps them occupied. For sure.
Oh yeah. I mean. Yeah, sometimes it's just like the littlest things at the park just help go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for I appreciate the trails being redone. I don't know what they doing on 20th Street. Look like they put a trail in the middle of 20th off of Hampton, like where the electrical lines are. I don't know if that's a sidewalk or a walking trail that they put in the middle of the island, where it's just little things that you just make it more accessible for people, because people in our city like to walk. People do want to walk, people do want to feel safe. So I do appreciate these, and that's what I wanted to talk about too once we get back from the last break, is just a couple things that's going on in the city, and just some updates, and I do like that we're making it more accessible to our walkers and bike riders, not just on the east side and south side areas, but we're making it accessible for people on the north side who like to get out and ride bikes as well. So thank y'all for putting these trails up. Keep them trails coming on our side of town, please. We're gonna take a break.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe, for everything that you've been throwing to this show. We're gonna be back via Voice Radio, Wisconsin. What's it, 860 AM, 106.5 FM.
AURN News.
Since returning to the White House, President Trump has made rolling back diversity a top priority, cutting back Black history programs, canceling MLK Day celebrations, and only welcoming white South African, quote, refugees. His Justice Department is now investigating Chicago's Black mayor after he spoke proudly about hiring Black staff. And yet, it was voters of color, especially Black and Latino men, who helped fuel Trump's comeback win. During his inauguration speech on MLK Day, Trump thanked Black and Hispanic communities for what he called a, quote, tremendous outpouring of love and trust. And exit polls show he made gains among Black men and won a majority of Latino male voters. So here's the question. Do some Black voters regret backing Donald Trump? There's no clear polling yet, but it's a question many may be asking as Trump's policies appear to reward the rich while sidelining racial equity. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, increasing cloud cover with a high in the mid-80s. Winds out of the south increased around 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 35. For tonight, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy, a low near 57. By Wednesday, a chance for rain showers early on, cloudy, high of 62 degrees. Thursday, partial sunshine, high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
This is Bryan Sanders with Wisconsin Voices. Join me every Monday and Tuesday at 11 a.m. as we break down what's really happening in our communities. From local politics to statewide policy, we're talking civic power, public meetings, voting rights, and how you can hold elected officials accountable. It's not just talk. It's about action, strategy, and building people-powered change. Tune in.
Hi, I'm Joe Dray with Wisconsin Voices. Voting is essential, but real democracy happens every day. Wisconsin Voices helps people take action between elections by organizing, educating, and advocating. If you want to do more than just cast a vote, and you want to create real change, this is the place to start. Join the movement for year-round civic power at wisconsinvoices.org.
Remembering what we stand for. At Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcast to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Explore our events calendar, like and subscribe to us on social media. Listen to recent podcasts and radio, and subscribe to our email and newsletter. Amplify your voice and be a voice today.
860 AM, 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
Welcome back. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We're back on this Tuesday, about 10 minutes to go in the morning. Brian,
Yo,
did you have some community updates for us today?
Yeah, of course. Before I get to the partnership updates, just a couple news from some things going on in Milwaukee. Northwest Side Community News, Green Tech Station Environmental Education Hub. The Green Tech Station, once a brownfield site, has been transformed into Environmental Education Center and now serves as a learning space for schools, promoting environmental awareness and sustainability practices. So I think that's pretty cool. The Green Tech Station, shout out to them on that project. The 30th Street Corridor, a potential $50 million grant with that. So Milwaukee's 30th Corridor is in its finalist in an economic development program that could bring $50 million grant to the area. The funding aims to revitalize the corridor, fostering economic growth and community development. So I like that. Anything that has to do with Northwest Side, just adding beautification to that area. We got Eamons Group's investment on King Drive. So the Eamon Group has purchased property on King Drive, demonstrating a commitment to investing in uplifting the local community. This acquisition is part of a broader efforts to stimulate economic development in the area. Right, we want to see our Bronzeville area on King Drive continue to see economic growth and thriving for that area for businesses of all types. So yeah, and of course we want to always shout out to the businesses on MLK, also Birdsong over there, Oils and everything else. Shout out to y'all doing y'all thing over there off of North and King too. Just some upcoming events, things they got going on. We got Northwest Side community updates. Mayor Cavalier Johnson's growing MKE initiative aimed at increasing housing density and affordability has received unanimous approval from the Plan Commission. This revised plan focuses on revitalizing neighborhoods like Washington Park by promoting mixed-use developments and streamlining zoning processes. So yeah, anything again to just clean up the area and make the area look great. Washington Park is another walkable park. A lot of people go over there. I know we had some events go there, or it's events that we partnered with last year through Wisconsin Voices, but love to see all the work that's being done there. I believe they just put like a new the Urban Ecology Center or something like the Urban Nature Center over there that is rebuilt. I do want to go check that out as well. We do, of course, some of our partners have events too and things going on. I just took a few screenshots of some and I'll just ride through them or fly through them.
Yeah.
We have All Lives Matter Breaking the Silence, Free Men's Mental Health and Wellness Fair. So if you are interested in this, it'll be June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Missing Piece. That is 3248 West Brown. Join them come out to this mental health therapists, personal trainers for this event. We'll offer those and other healthcare professionals dedicated to men's total health and wellness, engage in meaningful conversations and learn about the vital resources available in our community to support your journey towards healing, mind, body, and spirit. This event will provide a unique opportunity to gather advice on mental, physical, and emotional health in one place. If y'all rock with Keon, the late Keon Jackson Malone, this is one put together by his organization that his sister Tyra is running as well. Shout out to Tyra, and also shout out to the organizations that's involved in this. So of course you got the Village Group, helping kids better themselves, which is Brandon Triggs Group, Milwaukee County. We got the Missing Piece, Dreams, Team United, and Black Man Build are on the flyer for this. So this will have fitness, resource, health screenings, financial literacy, real estate, fatherhood initiatives, nutrition, mental health, substance abuse, counseling, and more. So June 14th, 2025, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This event will be happening. Also, another one that is pretty cool, and they do have a few events going on. I just want to shout out Milwaukee Turners for all the hard work they do on civic engagement and keeping people aware about their rights. We got legal observing training. If you want to be a legal observer or interested in that, Thursday, June 12th, 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. You can register for that as well. You can also go to their Facebook webpage or their website to register for that. Again, that is legal observer training. Milwaukee Turner also has another group coming up as well, another event going on. June 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. It'll be their Celebration National Get Outdoors Day. Outdoor activities for all ages. They'll have rappelling, slack line, biking, t-shirt, tie-dyeing, chalk, art, yoga class, and gymnastics. And it's free. Again, that'll be at Milwaukee Turner's. The address is 1040 Vale R. Phillips Avenue. If you're familiar with the Pfizer Forum, Deer District, you know where that's at. Another one that they have, they're having a free Narcan training through Milwaukee Turner's. It's presented again by Milwaukee Turner's. Is the fentanyl crisis here in Milwaukee is a lot, and I believe Narcan could probably be used. I don't know if it's could be used for heroin overdoses. But I'm sure it's too. Yep. So get educated on overdoses and tools needed to prevent them. I personally want to go to this one myself, but this would be at Falcon Bow, 801 West Clark Street. Again, if you want to go to the free Narcan training, that'll be June 4th, 2025 at 3 p.m. So yeah, those are a few updates on my partners and with some things going on in the community. We'll have other ones brought up, and of course,
I got one last one.
Yeah, what's that?
Our event.
Yeah, that's what I was going to next. It's funny you said that. That was the next one I'm about to say. So what you got for us?
The Gala in the Garden, guys. This is Wisconsin Voices, big fundraiser for the year. Show up and show out for us. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be July 31st from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Hubbard Park Lodge. That's at 3565 North Morris Boulevard right here in Milwaukee. Keep an eye on our social media and our website for a QR code where you can scan or some links to tickets. We would love to see you. Me and Bryan are going to be there, so you can shake our hands and say, hey, I heard you guys on the radio. No, but we would just love to hear from you and get your support for all the great things that Wisconsin Voices is doing and all the great things that our partners are doing as well.
Sure.
All right, man. I think we just wrapped it up for the week.
I think so. I think we did a good show. I think that was a great show. It's informative. Make sure we're going to work on bringing y'all some guests so you won't have to just hear us all the time. But again, thank you for State Rep Prado for coming through yesterday. Thank you for everybody through our organizations. Oh, one shout out to to Wisconsin Voices for our training and compliance training we had with Voter Advocacy and Ex Fabula this past week. So thank y'all again.
Fantastic. Yes, fantastic.
Yeah. So I think that's it, man.
Yeah. All right. You want me to take us out?
Go ahead, do it.
All right. Thanks for being with us this week, folks. We'll see you next week, Monday and Tuesday, 11 to noon. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Have a great day, y'all.